Any questions about siphon brewing, or where have you guys seen it? Just in coffee shops, or?
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a whole bunch of different ones.
Now, those take a lot longer.
Well, the spirals could be a cold brew drip.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's a lot of times they're using just a... See? You looked away for a second.
I know that you got me, Chad. You got me.
No. I'm not doing that again.
Were you guys amazed? No, Danny was amazed.
I'm impressed.
I love it.
That is the siphon.
Siphon brew.
So we got the precision press. It's French press, as you know it. It's enhanced with an integrated scale and timer, so you can dial in that perfect ratio all within the carafe. And we're gonna do a little class with that.
Walnuts coffee.
Oh, I want coffee. Coffee drinkers?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
That's Chad. Chad's the brewmaster. They're asking about you, Chad.
Hey.
Chad's here.
The Chad too.
So this is mainly going to be just to start get some caffeine in you, as well as a little bit of taste all over the table. Just to get started, a little bit of taste. You'll start to understand when you get the precision press going, the difference of the flavors based on the brew method. The coffee is the same. The coffee that we brewed is the same. So
yeah, so that's something to keep in mind as you're tasting all of this coffee today, is that every method that we're going to be brewing with, it's going to taste different. It's going to have a different flavor profile, but it's all the exact same coffee. One of the things that Chad and I really like to focus on is how you can get a different cup of coffee using the same coffee. Different flavor profile.
So every region, every growing region has a different overarching flavor profile that comes out of the bean. And a lot of people will say, or a lot of shops will say, oh, you have to have all this coffee from all these different regions because Ethiopians taste differently than Guatemalans and Guatemalans taste differently than El Salvador. And it's true to an extent because you have different soil structures, different weather patterns, and things like that. That being said, based on different brew methods, I can take this particular coffee and brew it in an AeroPress and make it taste much more bright and fruity, which is what you normally get with the African coffees. So it's fun when people say, well, you only have Guatemalan coffees. Yeah, but I can brew them a million different ways, different dosing, different specs, everything, and get all the different flavors that I think most people are looking for. So
keep in mind that because this is a boiling method, that coffee is going to be really
very
hot.
hot. And ideally, I mean, if you guys, I would imagine, would agree.
Gracias.
I never drink coffee right after it's been brewed because you can actually taste more after it's cooled off a few degrees. So if you drink it now, you're going to taste a lot less than if you give it a few minutes to. It's also yeah.
So that's I guess the temperature is a really good time to also talk about different flavors. So most of us, are you all beer drinkers?
See.
So if you, the big commercial breweries will tell you to drink beer ice cold, and the reason is because once it starts to warm up, it starts to taste like shit.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, okay. So scientific.
Yeah, and well, so then if you're like founders, you guys are here. You're in Brew City, USA, whatever that means. So you've probably tasted some great beer. They're not going to serve it to you that cold because the flavors will actually open up a little bit as it warms up. Our palates cannot taste temperature extremes. So right now, this coffee, doesn't matter what method it comes out of, at this temperature, it's all going to taste fairly similar. I drink my coffee, when I'm evaluating coffee, I drink it from hot all the way to cold. However, my preferred is about 120 degrees. So you brew at about 200 degrees, and I let it cool way down, just above room temperature. I can do that because the coffee is so good. So coffee is the opposite of beer in that when it's all hot, it's all going to taste very similar. It starts to differentiate itself when it cools down. So that's why I let it cool down, to let the flavors open up. And as you taste this cup of coffee, right now it's going to be too hot, but as it cools down, you'll notice, if you pay attention to your palate, the flavors are going to change. If you purchase bad coffee and roast it poorly, and then serve it like this, it will continue to get more bitter and harder to drink. So I have this theory in Michigan, we have harsh winters. Parking lots always have snow on them. People brew their coffee at home. It's hot. They doctor it up however they like it. And they get to the grocery store, they go inside for an hour, come back out. They take a sip of the coffee that left in the console, and it's cold now. Now they taste all the terribleness that the coffee was. They just didn't know it because it was hot and they had cream and sugar in it. And so people dump out their cups of coffee all over the ground, and you look across the parking lot, and it's all spots of brown because people don't drink their coffee. So it's a theory. So enjoy that.
There we go. There we go. So now I think what we're going to do is use the precision presses to brew some coffee. You guys want to brew your own coffee?
Yes,
What do you
please.
say? So I'm going to have Daniela walk us through the features of how to brew using this new brewer, which is fantastic. I think they made some great improvements to the typical French presses that are out there. When we're brewing coffee, temperature of the water is obviously important. Grind setting is really important. A couple areas that this has made some great improvements is it's added a scale, which enables us to measure the coffee directly into the device, so you get the exact amount of coffee that you need.
We're not doing
We've
measured
already
today.
pre-measured these and put that in, but it also has a timer on it, so it tells you exactly how long that needs to steep for before you plunge, which is helpful to have right on board in the handle. So why don't you walk us through? We've got water boiling over here.
Just pop that breaker.
We did have water boiling.
It's probably right
We
there.
have plenty
Yeah.
of
we're good.
temperature, yeah.
Well, thanks, Kirby. So as he mentioned, this is classic French press, as you know. We haven't changed the brew method at all. All we did was incorporate that scale and the timer. Because have you guys heard of weighing versus scooping your coffee? Weighing is of course preferred because then you get that same repeatable ratio every time. If you get that your grounds and your water weighed, and so we've taken out one step. We've taken out a piece of equipment by having that extra scale, and now it's in the base of your brewer. So as Kirby mentioned, we already measured out and we ground and measured out the coffee, and we've got the water. And so we're going to fill those up to the max, which will be, in this case, the ratio is 739 grams of water to 46 grams of coffee. And speaking of temperature, ideal brewing temperatures are what, 200?
202.
Okay, yep.
198 to 202.
So actually, I'm going to let you guys.
Yeah, you guys can, so there should be enough water to do all 4 of these. And then there's a timer, and you want to steep it for about 4.5 minutes.
739, but if you see there's a max fill line, so. Oh, so follow that.
Yeah, just take it up to the max fill line.
Yeah.
So what you guys are going to do, so we use the grind setting for the French presses for these. I'm going to do 2 more over here, and you're going to, I'll educate you a little bit on why grind matters, and grind correlates with dosing, and you'll see why once we get there, because we'll do a little tasting thing of where you'll start to understand how you can tell whether your dose is off or whether your grind is off.
Thanks
So,
for sharing.
This is
with
not
us.
bitter at all.
Thank you.
There's no bitterness whatsoever.
Good.
Thank you.
It's very nice.
Thanks.
There's your smile.
So then, yeah, press a little timer. Perfect. And I like to wait about 4.5 minutes. I don't know about
Sure.
if you have a different recommendation.
Sure.
But,
4.5 is great.
all right.
So while we're waiting for this, I'm gonna talk about cold coffee.
Yeah.
So a lot of these brew methods, as you guys see, there's a ton of variability that can happen. You can get too hot of water, too cold of water, too coarse of a grind, too fine of a grind, and so it makes the coffee experience a little bit tricky. I won't call it a science experiment. There's a lot of variability that comes into play. So as a coffee provider, that presents some challenges for us. In that, Chad and I can spend a lot of time and resources sourcing great coffee and that type of thing and providing it to consumers, but there's an opportunity there for the consumer to mess it up. products like these that KitchenAid has come up with are making that for the mass consumer a lot easier. But we're really attracted to cold coffee. Cold coffee enables us to, as a coffee provider, to control that process a lot more. So we can provide more of a finished beverage to the consumer. So we started about 6 months ago experimenting with